7 years of marriage. I bore children, gave up my career, and yet one night he calmly told me we were getting a divorce, he had a lover, and she was pregnant. He even claimed, without hesitation, that he would take the child. I started secretly gathering every piece of evidence, his affairs, hidden assets, and illegitimate child, until 2 a.m. I sent everything, the photos, records, the truth, into the family group chat, the company chat, and social media. I opened my eyes and saw only the hospital's stark white ceiling. The beeping of machines filled my ears. My body felt torn apart. Oh, it really had been torn apart. A C-section. Where was the baby? Is Mr. Jason Miller's family here? A nurse called from the door. No one answered. I tried again, calling the doctor this time. My voice was hoarse, barely my own. Where's my husband? The doctor came in, his expression grim. Mrs. Miller, you've lost quite a bit of blood. We need a family member to sign. We've been unable to reach your husband by phone. I shook with pain. Keep calling. They kept calling. They kept calling until my blood nearly drained, until my lips turned white and my vision blurred. Jason never came. Later, I found out he was on the VIP floor of the same hospital, with Lily, that woman he had once called just a sister. The baby was brought to me for a glance. A tiny girl, curled up in the incubator. I touched the glass. Tears fell. Then Jason's assistant arrived. Not to see me, Mrs. Miller, he said formally. Miss Lily isn't emotionally stable. Mr. Miller's father said she should have the baby for a few days, to lift her spirits. I froze. Lift her spirits? My child was just born. I heard my trembling voice say, I'm still bleeding. The assistant paused. Mr. Miller knows your condition. He said you come from a strong background, and your health is good, you can handle it. In that moment, it felt like ice water had poured over me from head to toe. Handle it. So in Jason's eyes, my pain had a price tag. My family, my health, they were resources. To be used, to be sacrificed. Will the baby come back? I asked. The assistant didn't answer. He left with my daughter. The door closed. I lay there, my abdomen stitched, my body empty, and my heart even emptier. For the first time, I realized clearly I wasn't his wife. I was a backup vessel. When Chloe came to see me, I was staring blankly out the window. Anna, she said, setting down flowers and holding my hand, her eyes red. How are you? I shook my head. Words wouldn't come. She sat quietly for a moment, then whispered, Jason has been spending a lot of time with Lily lately. Did you know they went to an auction together last weekend? I shot a look at her. Chloe avoided my gaze. I just mentioned it casually. Don't overthink it. But I couldn't stop thinking. Memories surfaced like gaping wounds, raw and bleeding. 3 years of marriage, and Jason never let me into his inner circle. His friends' gatherings? I was always just busy. Company events? Not feeling well. His explanations were always gentle. Considerate. Those places are too noisy. You wouldn't like it. I thought he was protecting me. Now I see he was isolating me. Anna, Chloe said hesitantly. Sometimes I feel Jason doesn't treat you like a wife. At that moment, the door opened. Jason walked in, wearing a tailored suit, hair perfect, faint scent of cologne, not the one he usually wears. He didn't even glance at my pale face. Where's the baby? My throat tightened. Taken away. Weren't you the one who had her taken? He nodded, like confirming a routine task. Lily isn't emotionally stable. It's better the baby stays with her. Rest well. He didn't ask if I was in pain. Chloe's face went paler by the second. Jason turned to leave, then added, by the way, next month is my father's big birthday. Be prepared. Dress appropriately. He left. The door closed. Chloe looked at me, lips trembling. Anna, I closed my eyes. Sometimes the bystanders see the truth sooner than those involved. I just didn't want to believe it. That night, I couldn't sleep. The wound hurt. The heart hurt more. I remembered 3 years ago, when Chloe and I were both considered by the Miller family. Our families had long-standing ties, both starting in business. The Millers wanted new blood, a stable marriage prospect. I was the stable one. Because I was obedient. Because my family was traditional. Because I was the eldest. Jason chose me. No proposal. No romance. Just our families sitting together, sealing a contract like marriage agreement. Chloe said nothing at the time. Only later, drunk, she hugged me and cried, "Anna, I hope you'll be happy." I thought I would be happy. After marriage, Jason was courteous. Gifts arrived on time. Holidays celebrated together. To outsiders, we were the perfect couple. Until Lily appeared. She was an orphan adopted by Jason's father, raised alongside him. Jason said she was pitiful, that she needed care, so she moved into the apartment next to ours. So Jason spent more time with her than with me. So on my birthdays, she just happened to be sick, and Jason stayed with her all night. I kept telling myself to be generous, to understand. Now, lying in a hospital bed, staring at the empty bassinet, I finally admitted it. I had been deceived. This marriage, from start to finish, was a transaction, and I was the chosen, most useful tool. By dawn, I had made a decision. I would no longer be passive. I would take back control, starting with my daughter. Lily came to visit 3 days later. She wore a silk dress, delicate and fragile, leaning against the doorframe, holding a bouquet of white roses. "Hi, Anna. Are you feeling better?" I said nothing. She walked in and placed the flowers in a vase. "The baby is so good. Not crying at all." Jason said I'm taking care of her well. I looked up. "Why are you taking care of my daughter?" Her smile froze for a moment, then softened again. Still upset. I'm doing this for the baby. With your condition. How could you care for her?" "I'll take care of her after I leave the hospital." "But," she bit her lip, her eyes reddening. "The baby is more connected to me. She smiles when she sees me." The door opened. Jason strode in quickly, wrapping his arm around Lila's shoulders. "What's wrong?" Lila leaned into his chest, sniffling softly. "I just wanted to check on Anna. She seems upset." Jason frowned at me. "Anna, Lila means well." "Means well?" My voice was icy. "Means well by taking my newborn? Means well by lifting her spirits while I'm still bleeding? Don't be so aggressive." Jason's expression darkened. "Lila isn't emotionally stable. What's wrong with her having the baby for a few days? Aren't you fine?" "Fine?" I pointed to the stitches on my abdomen. 7 stitches. I lost 800 cubic centimeters of blood. "Jason, can't you see?" He paused, then quickly returned to his cold indifference. "The doctor said you're fine. Stop overreacting." Claire finally couldn't hold back. "Jason, Anna is your wife. She just gave birth to your child. You don't get to speak." Jason shot her a cold glance. "This is a private family matter." He shielded Lila and turned to leave. Before he went, Lila glanced at me. No weakness in her eyes, only the smug triumph of a victor. The door shut. Claire trembled with anger. I, however, felt unnervingly calm, because when your heart is dead, it doesn't hurt anymore. Jason chose to side with the interloper. Then I would choose a side too. A week later, I was discharged from the hospital. The house was empty. The nursery still looked as it had during my pregnancy. Toys neatly arranged. The crib empty. Jason didn't come home. He stayed with Lila and the baby in another apartment downtown. His father summoned me to the old family estate. In the tea room, he sat in a rosewood chair, methodically pouring tea. "Anna, there's been some gossip. People say the Millers aren't following tradition, letting an outsider raise the baby." I lowered my eyes. "The baby is mine." "I know." He pushed a cup of tea toward me. "So, to settle the public, we came up with a plan." I looked up. "Jason will be engaged to Claire. We'll say it was a misunderstanding. That Lila was just a distant cousin. The baby is Claire's, raised by her, legally and properly." The teacup in my hand shattered. The scalding tea burned my hand, but I felt nothing. "What did you say?" "Claire's family has agreed," his father said calmly. "Her parents are pleased. And you, Anna, being sensible, should understand this is the best arrangement for the family." I shivered. "And me? You're still Jason's legal wife. Just temporarily separated. Once the attention dies down, we'll make further arrangements." I laughed, and then I cried. "So, I'm supposed to give my newborn daughter to my best friend, let her be her official child, and I'm supposed to pretend none of this happened? His father frowned. It's for the family's reputation. Reputation. Always reputation. I stood up, my burnt hand red and swollen. I don't agree. You have no choice. His father's voice turned icy. Your family's business hasn't been doing well, right? If the Millers withdraw investment, your father won't last 3 months. I froze. He knew. He knew everything. That's why he dared so openly to treat my child, my marriage, my life, as resources to be rearranged at will. I left the estate. Rain was falling. Claire waited at the gate, eyes swollen and red. Anna. I'm sorry. My parents forced me. I looked at her, this childhood friend, the girl who once hugged me and said, "You deserve to be happy." Now, she was walking my path. Do you think you'll win? I asked. Claire froze. You think marrying him will bring you happiness? My voice was quiet. Claire, look at me. He will treat you the same way. In his eyes, we're not human. We're tools. She cried. But I have no choice, you do. I said, grabbing her hand. You just haven't hit the level of despair yet. I turned and walked away. The rain poured harder, but inside me, a fire was burning. I would find out Lila's secrets. I would tear this deception apart. Investigating takes time, but before I could finish, something even more disgusting happened. Lila had a car accident, minor scrapes, treated at the hospital. Jason went berserk. He stormed into Claire's house and slapped her in front of everyone. Because you're jealous. Because you pressured her. If anything happens to Lila, I'll make your whole family pay. Claire covered her face. Stunned, I rushed over, finding her on the floor, blood at the corner of her mouth, her eyes empty. I didn't, she murmured. I didn't even know where she was. Stop playing the victim, Jason yelled. Lila said you went to her yesterday. Threatened her to leave me. Who else could it be? I stepped in front of Claire. Where's the proof? Jason stared at me, as if I were a stranger. Anna, now you've become a vicious woman too? Birds of a feather. Ha! Birds of a feather. 10 years of friendship. 3 years of marriage. And this was what it came down to, birds of a feather. Claire suddenly laughed. A laugh uglier than crying. Jason. She slowly stood. How long have we known each other? 15 years. Jason said coldly. That's why this is even more disgusting. Claire, I didn't expect you to be so low. Claire nodded. Fine, she said. Then the engagement is off. I'm not marrying him. Silence fell. Jason froze. Then roared. You call off the engagement just like that? Who do you think the Millers are? I think you're trash. Claire wiped blood from her mouth, speaking each word slowly. I'd rather die than marry into your family. She turned and walked away, back straight, head high. I followed her, catching up in the hallway. She leaned on my shoulder and finally let herself cry. Anna, you were right. We were deceiving ourselves. I rubbed her back. The fire inside me burned even hotter. Lila had made her first move. A fake car accident had ruined Claire's reputation, destroyed the engagement, and completely won Jason to her side. Clever, but she had also revealed herself. Panicked. And when panicked, mistakes happen. The backlash came fast. The Miller family threatened to pull their investment. Claire's family stock plummeted. Her parents knelt before Jason's father, begging for mercy. My family was dragged in as well. My father called me, his voice aged and worn. Anna, can you lower your head this once? I stood by the window of a small rental apartment, gripping my phone. This was a tiny place I'd rented with the last of my personal savings. The divorce wasn't finalized yet, but I'd already moved out. Dad, I said quietly, would bowing help? Today they want my daughter. Tomorrow they'll want my life. He was silent for a long time. But the company won't collapse. I said calmly, give me 1 month. I hung up. Claire arrived shortly after. She had lost a lot of weight, but there was light in her eyes now. Anna, I found it. She laid a file on the table. A private investigator's report. Lila, real name Lucy. She was not an orphan. She had a twin sister, also named Lucy. The real Lily had been sent to a psychiatric facility 5 years ago. Diagnosis, emotional instability. And the current Lila had stolen her identity, infiltrated the Miller family, and gotten close to Jason. She doesn't just want a man, Claire said, pointing at figures in the report. Her sister has a trust fund worth tens of millions, but it requires the beneficiary's signature. Fake Lila is only the guardian, she can't access it. I understood instantly. So she needs the Miller family's power to force the hospital to release her sister? Or forge documents? Exactly, Claire said through clenched teeth. She doesn't love Jason. She wants money and power. We were all played. I studied the report. A plan formed in my mind. Claire, your family's crisis is actually easy to solve. She froze. What the Millers want is a presentable bride to cover up the scandal. It doesn't have to be you. Then who? I smiled. Lucy, the real Lily. If she recovers and appears publicly as the twin sister, saying she wants to atone for her sister's sins and marries Jason, do you think his father would agree? Claire's eyes widened. But she has mental health issues. What if she's recovered? I said softly. What if she's more obedient, more compliant, more suitable for the image of respectability than the current Lila? Claire sucked in a sharp breath. You're insane. No, I said, flipping to the last page of the report, the address of the facility. I'm just taking back what's mine, and helping you reclaim your dignity. We exchanged a look and smiled. The Women's Alliance was officially formed. The facility was in the suburbs. Claire and I applied for a visit as distant relatives. The real Lucy sat in a sunroom, wearing hospital clothes, quietly drawing. She was sketching roses from the garden. The strokes were delicate, the colors gentle. The nurse said, "She's been stable for a long time. Honestly, she should have been discharged already." But the guardian never signed off. The guardian, fake Lila. We approached her. Lucy looked up. Same face as Lila's. Completely different eyes, clear, calm, slightly timid. Who are you? I sat down and got straight to the point. Do you want to leave this place? Her eyes lit up, then dimmed. My sister won't agree. What if she does? I lowered my voice. What if she gives your identity back to you, and your freedom? Lucy gave a bitter smile and shook her head. She won't. She took everything from me. My name, my identity, my money. She'll never let go. Then we make her let go, Claire said. As long as you're willing to cooperate. Lucy looked at us for a long time. What do you want me to do? Get married, I said bluntly. Marry your sister's fiancé. As Lily. The pencil slipped from Lucy's fingers. But she didn't scream. She didn't collapse. She just thought quietly. And then? Then you reclaim your trust fund, leave this place, and go anywhere you want. We only need you to do one thing at the wedding. What? Expose her. Publicly. I said, locking eyes with her. Tell everyone who she is, and who you are. Lucy was silent for a long time. Finally, she nodded gently. Okay. She picked up her pencil and wrote a single line on the paper. I pretended to be crazy for 5 years. Now it's her turn. Claire and I exchanged a look. The prey had officially become a weapon. The plan began. Claire released a public apology video, crying on camera, claiming she had been confused for a moment and wishing Jason and Lila happiness. Jason was pleased. His father softened and restored support to Claire's family. Fake Lila live-streamed herself trying on wedding dresses, hinting that she had finally waited for this day. The comments were filled with blessings. No one knew that the real wedding dress was being worn by another woman. After Lucy was discharged, we hired the best stylists and etiquette coaches. She learned quickly. After all, she had once been a wealthy heiress before her sister stole everything. On the night before the wedding, I stood in a penthouse suite, looking down at the venue being prepared below. Flowers, red carpet, lights, everything looked like a fairy tale. Claire walked in and handed me a drink. The media is set. Press conference confirmed. Surveillance is under control, they won't catch us. I nodded. Where's Lucy? Trying on the veil, Claire said, conflicted. She's calmer than I expected. Anna. I'm a little scared. What if she backs out? She won't, I said, taking a sip. She hates her sister more than we do. She's waited 5 years for this. Downstairs, fake Lila was still live streaming. Jason appeared on camera, arm around her waist, smiling gently. The comments scrolled, perfect match. I watched, completely unmoved. Once, that gentle smile had been mine. Now, it only disgusted me. Tomorrow, Claire said softly, everything will be over. No. I shook my head. Tomorrow, everything begins. The stillness before the storm, the most unbearable moment, and the most anticipated. The wedding day dawned bright and clear, a high society union, broadcast live. Eyes of the city upon them. Fake Lila walked the red carpet in a couture gown, holding the old man's arm. Her smile was sweet, but every curve of her eyes and lips screamed triumph. Jason stood at the altar, watching her approach. I sat in the guest section, sunglasses on, silently observing. Claire sat next to me, palms slick with sweat. Music swelled. The bride reached the altar. The old man placed her hand into Jason's. The officiant began the vows. Jason Miller, do you take Lila to be your wife? I do. Jason answered quickly. The officiant turned to the bride. Lila, do you take? I do, came the voice from beneath the veil. But Jason furrowed his brow. He glanced at the bride. Through the veil. He shouldn't have seen the face clearly, but he sensed something. The ceremony continued. As the rings were exchanged, Jason leaned slightly and asked, "Why is your hand so cold?" "Just a little nervous," the bride replied softly. He said no more, but I saw it. His hand trembled. He had noticed, but it was too late. The ceremony ended, and the couple kissed. Fake Lila sat in the front row, smiling brighter than the bride. She thought she had won. She didn't know the real trap had just been set. The reception began. The newlyweds toasted. Fake Lila approached the bride with her glass, smiling sweetly. "Sister, I toast you. Thank you for marrying Jason for me." A hush fell over the room. Jason frowned. "Lila, what did you just say?" Fake Lila covered her mouth with a giggle. "Just kidding. I meant, thanks for always taking care of me." "Sister," the bride raised her hand, accepting the glass. Then, with a flick of her wrist, the entire glass of red wine splashed onto Fake Lila's face. "Ah!" Lila screamed. Jason was furious. "What are you doing?" He reached for the bride's wrist. She stepped back, and the veil slipped off. A face identical to Lila's appeared before everyone, but the eyes were different, the expression different. The room fell silent. Red wine dripped down Fake Lila's face. She stared at the bride, pale as death. Who are you?" The bride, the real Lucy, spoke calmly. "I am Lily, your twin sister. 5 years ago, you had me committed, stole my identity, my name, my life. Now, I'm back." The cameras zoomed in. Reporters surged forward. Shutters clicked wildly. Fake Lila shrieked in hysteria. "Lies. I'm Lily. She's insane. She's crazy." Jason froze, glancing from one to the other. The old man rose, his face ashen. Lucy pulled a file from her purse, holding it high. "DNA report. Psychiatric release certificate. All evidence of your identity theft." She looked into the camera, tears falling, voice unwavering. "Little sister, the game is over." Chaos erupted. Fake Lila lunged at Lucy but was held back by security. She screamed like a madwoman. "You bitch. You ruined everything." Jason tried to control the scene, but the reporters swarmed. "Mr. Miller, did you know the bride was a fake? Were you aware all along? Is this wedding a scam?" Jason's face went pale. Words failed him. The old man clutched his chest, collapsing. "Grandpa!" Jason rushed to him. The scene spiraled further out of control. Ambulances, police, and media vehicles surrounded the hotel. Fake Lila was hauled away by police, still screaming, "Jason, save me. I love you." Jason didn't even glance at her. He held his father, hands shaking. I removed my sunglasses and walked slowly toward them. Jason looked up, panic finally flickering in his eyes. "Anna, it's you." I leaned down and whispered in his ear, "Does it hurt?" Watching everything collapse and being powerless, that's just a fraction of what I felt in the delivery room. Bleeding, helpless, his pupils constricted. I straightened and walked to Claire. We stood side by side, watching the farce, watching male authority crumble before the truth. The live footage went viral. #TwinSwapWedding, #MillerFamilyMarriageFraud top trending searches. Fake Lila's social media accounts were banned. All endorsement contracts terminated. Criminal investigation for identity fraud opened. Her so-called fans turned on her, digging up more dirt, cosmetic surgery, forged diplomas, even juvenile theft records. When the wall falls, everyone strikes. Public opinion became the sharpest blade, cutting, bloodied, unforgiving. A week later, fake Lila suffered a miscarriage. The hospital discharged her. Media swarmed the entrance. She became a pariah. When I visited her at the hospital, she lay pale and defeated. Her eyes met mine. Red. Anna, you won. I stood calmly at the bedside. No, I never considered you my rival. Then why? Because you touched my child. I leaned close, voice soft. You should never have crossed a mother's final line. She shuddered. Where's Jason? Why hasn't he come to see me? He has his own mess to deal with. I straightened. The Miller family's stock is crashing. Investors are pulling out. He's busy putting out fires. He doesn't have time for you. She cried. But this time, no tears could buy sympathy. Social death is more painful than real death. Because she had to live, bearing everyone's contempt. This is just the beginning, I said, turning away. Enjoy the life you stole. The door closed. Her cries were cut off. I stepped out into the sunlight. Claire was waiting in the car. Next stop? She asked. The Miller Corporation shareholder meeting, I said, fastening my seatbelt. Time to finish cleaning house. Miller Corporation boardroom. The old man was absent. Jason sat at the head of the table, exhausted and pale. The shareholders were aggressive. The stock dropped 40%. All the investors pulled out. You need to give us an explanation. Jason clenched his fists. I will handle it. You can't handle it. The door to the conference room swung open. Claire and I walked in. The shareholders froze. Jason shot up. What are you doing here? Get out. We're shareholders. I flashed the stock certificates. Over the past month, we acquired 12% of Miller shares on the market at low prices. We are now the third largest shareholders. Jason went pale. Where did you get the money? My trust fund. Lucy stepped forward from behind us, dressed sharply in professional attire, calm and collected. My trust fund is fully authorized to be managed by Anna. She was now the real Lily. Released. Recovered. Identity restored. Fully legitimate. Jason stumbled back, collapsing into a chair. You work together, yes. I stepped to the table, scanning the shareholders. I proposed that Jason Miller be removed as executive director. At the same time, a full independent audit of the Miller family's financials for the past 5 years should be conducted. The shareholders murmured, but no one opposed. Because in the face of profit, bloodline means nothing. A week later, the audit report was released. Fake Lila had embezzled funds. Jason had known but failed to report, even assisting in falsifying records. The old man suffered a second stroke and was admitted to the ICU. Jason was taken in by the police for investigation. Lost inheritance. Lost freedom. Lost everything. The last time he saw me was in the visitation room of the detention center. Anna, he was unshaven. Dark circles under his eyes. I know I was wrong. Give me another chance. I looked at the man who had once made my heart flutter. Now, all I felt was pity. Jason, do you remember the day I gave birth? He froze. I lost 800 cubic centimeters of blood. Almost died on the operating table. And you were with another woman. I stood. From that day on, you never had a chance. I turned and walked away. He screamed after me, you'll regret this. Without the Millers, you're nothing. I glanced back, smiling. No, without you, I'm truly myself. 3 months later, Claire and I officially launched our women-led investment fund. Using Lucy's trust fund as seed capital, we acquired Miller Group's underperforming assets at low prices, restructured them, and revitalized the business. Now, we were the youngest female capital leaders in the city. Lucy went abroad to study art therapy. In a letter, she wrote that she had finally found the meaning of her life. Fake Lila, now called by her real name, Lisa, was convicted on multiple charges. She had a mental breakdown in prison and was admitted to a psychiatric facility. A bitterly ironic turn of events. The old man was partially paralyzed, living in a care facility. Jason still awaited trial. Occasionally, the media tried to dig up the high society feud follow-up, but the public had moved on. New headlines, new gossip, No one remembers the losers forever. Today, Claire and I stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of our new office, overlooking the entire city. Remember the delivery room day? Claire asked softly. I nodded. I thought I had lost everything back then. And now? I looked at the sunlight streaming across the skyline. Now I know, all I lost was my chains. We clinked our glasses. The red wine swirled, like the color of victory. No reliance on men, Claire said. No reliance on marriage. I added, reliance on ourselves. The glass reflected our silhouettes. Two women who had once been treated as tools. Now, we were the ones holding the chessboard. Satisfaction peaked in calm control. Because the true winners never look back at explosions. We only move forward, towards a broader world.